I knew this guy once, 35 and already balding, and he's in jail now, but once he was a family man with a white picket fence and a pretty wife and 2 kids both in preschool. One day he got disenchanted with his go somewhere, be nobody, white collar, whitewashed, middle income job description, so he quit his job and started growing out his hair and started talking about being an artist. So he locked himself up in his garage for days and days and weeks on end and emerged with a short story manuscript, 23 pages long, double-spaced and stapled twice because he felt like the first time it didn't quite staple enough, and he showed it to his wife, who taught English at the middle school, and he asked her to give it a once-over. She read it over once or twice or 6 or 7 times, marked it up in red like an Aboriginal painting, and said, "It's good but self-indulgent, and that there's lines and paragraphs and whole pages even that are largely irrelevant to the overall narrative. If you ever want to become a great writer, you'll have to learn to kill your babies," which meant, of course, that he'd have to take the lines that he liked but that didn't contribute to the overall organic unity of the poem and cut them. But he was short-sighted and literal-minded, which is part of why he never would have made a great author in the first place. And so by the time the cops finally replied to his wife's frantic, frenzied, panicked 3 a.m. phone call, he was already on his knees in the bathroom with the tub overflowing and 2 limp bodies by his side. And that is a dark little joke with a twisted little fucked-up punchline that is less wordplay than it is word torture porn. But if you're in the crowd here now, that means that you will in some way appreciate the playing of words and the construction of these base, occasionally elaborate, cringe-worthy puns, or at the very least that you're here with someone who is. By the way, you're here and I'm here, and oh fuck, we're all here. We're all these verbose, grandiose intellectuals who sit around philosophizing and speechifying or electrifying diction, and that diction is a fiction, because although we mean what we say, or at least we sell it that way, speaking with a kind of confident, controlled, and self-assured vocal inflection that is assisted by these rising cadences that imply that we're leading to a sort of grand epiphany, we don't always know what we mean. Put together words and rhymes sort of at random and regardless of semiotic meaning in ways that seem lyrically or aesthetically pleasing. And so we run in these tight-knit, tight-pussy literary circles, which is weird because we always thought circles were more of a geometrical thing. Yet we romanticize the 90s, put pavement on a pedestal, and we recite hold steady lyrics to each other like biblical verses. And as for actual biblical verses, we mostly just discount them with the possible exception of Leviticus, which we hold up and mock as a symbol of everything that is wrong with so-called moral establishment, because seriously, fuck that shit. And so anyway, we overuse similes like crackheads take cocaine, and our metaphors are fortune cookies, confusing and ultimately meaningless, and we use repetition, and dead-on precision that make us all seem grand and in a way poetic, or to attract the same sex or the opposite sex, or whatever sex it is we think that we can get good sex out of. And I think there's a reason that I talk so much about girls when I go up here. The reason that I talk about girls so much when I go up here is that when I open a blank Word document to write one of these, that blank document looks an awful lot like a blank canvas. And that's what a girl told me that her body was once. A blank canvas, do whatever you want to me. And I was young and inexperienced, so I mostly just kissed her neck, but I figure if I wanted to, that I probably could have fucked her. And the idea of fucking someone is sort of a nebulous concept to me, analogous to dying, or ascending to heaven, or achieving enlightenment, or farting in a tornado, and I wonder if it is obvious, or at least more obvious than I'm making it currently, because when I showed a buddy of mine this manuscript I've been working on, she said, "Yeah, it's mostly pretty alright, and you got an ear for dialogue, but you write your sex scenes like a virgin." And when I asked her what that meant, she brought up this pet concept of mine that I like to call the virginity song theory, which states basically and scientifically that every person on earth has at least one song in particular that they would like to have playing at the moment that they lose their virginity. And if 2 people have the same virginity song, then they're basically soulmates. So she said, it's like that virginity song thing of yours, in that you take these concepts and things in life that you know jack shit about, and you act like there's a rhyme, or like there's a reason. Stop acting like you know anything. You don't know shit. Sex is messy, life is messy, and you're gonna have to get used to that. And despite that pretty harrowing takedown of myself and life philosophies, I mostly just found myself striving to write those sex scenes better. Because when you're desperate to make the whole being a writer thing work, you take all the advice you can get and fit the more reflective rest into a kind of purgatory wastebasket inside your own head that you promise yourself that you'll come back to when you have the time. And maybe that's not everybody. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm just projecting. Probably I'm just projecting. I wish I could project to you just how probable it is that I've probably just been projecting throughout this 3-minute self-indulgent, self-critiquing, self-actualizing performance about performing. And I'm sorry that this was so disjointed. And I'm sorry about the projecting. And I'm sorry about that dead baby joke. And I'm sorry that this was so long. But I figured that probably I just never learned to kill my babies. Thank you so much.